Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Shraddha.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Naruttamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire. Nashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Ajnana Simirandasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mayam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagarjatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prajana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shri Vishakhan He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Shibhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रतिष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते राधानाथ समन्वय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे विशेषवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे मुखम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्पादमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुतारणं परमानंद माधवम श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरं हरि ओम हरे कृष्ण. So welcome back. We are continuing our discussion on the Srimad Bhagavad, 6th canto. We are continuing and going to conclude the discussion of the Ajamila last time. In today's class, we are discussing chapter 3 of the 6th canto, and this particular chapter is entitled Yamaraja Instructs His Messengers. So overall, the Ajamil episode has already been discussed it across chapters 1 and 2. We saw how Yamaraj, the Yamadutas came to catch and snatch and grab and drag to the hell the sinful Ajamila for punishment. But how the sinful Ajamila somehow was fortunate enough to chant the holy name of the Lord, Narayan, at the time of his death. Even though actually he was even directly referring to Lord Narayan, but actually he was referring to his son. And in an amazing, unprecedented turn of events, suddenly, as the three Yamadutas came there and they were tying the subtle body of Ajamil, 4 Vishnudutas arrived and they forbid the Yamadutas from execution of their duty. They are shocked because they have never been interrupted in their duty. They have never seen or heard of any authority who can interfere with their jurisdiction. So this was quite an unusual activity, an unusual event. And then a very wonderful conversation happened, the Vishnudutas and the Yamadutas, about the principles of religion, what is dharma, who should be punished, who should not be punished, how is punishment decided, what is atonement, what are the various kinds of atonements. So very beautiful conversation happened, and Ajamil, who was on his deathbed, is listening to this live Bhagavatam class between the 4 Vishnudutas and the 3 Yamadutas. As he is repenting for having placed himself into such a precarious situation. Even though in the early part of his life, he had been a very pious Brahmin worshipping Shaligram Shila and had some background in devotional service. Perhaps not pure devotional service, but had some background in worshipping Shaligram Shila and perhaps some other devotional activities she would have performed. We discussed how eventually Vishnudutas silenced the Yamadutas by conclusively establishing that the Yamadutas no longer had any jurisdiction over Ajamil, because Ajamil had already liquidated all his accumulated sins by chanting the name of Narayana in a helpless way at the time of death. And so this amazing episode happened, and the Yamadutas, almost in a bewildered way, finally relented and went away. Ajamila was saved. He didn't die. He went back into his body. He hadn't been pulled out yet. And as he was trying and struggling to get up and offer obeisances to the Vishnudutas, they also disappeared. But having learnt his lesson and being woken up by his slumber out of his intense attachment, which caused him to do so many sinful activities, he finally woke up. He was already 88 years of age. Woke up in terms of realizing that he had been on the wrong path, realizing that he had to rectify himself. And by the blessings of the association of the Vishnudutas and having been revived with proper spiritual intelligence, with great determination, this time Ajamila cut off the attachment, the family, and left home and proceeded towards Haridwar. He did not achieve perfection immediately, but he was given a second chance, and that chance he grabbed. And with great determination in Haridwar, performing menial, humble, devotional service to the Supreme Lord, chanting the holy names, staying in the holy dham, the bank of Mother Ganges. He spent many years performing devotional service, purified himself from his remaining material contamination, and eventually he saw the same Vishnudutas who had previously saved him at the time of death. And this time, his death wasn't an unpleasant experience. This time the Vishnudutas came with smiles to receive him and to escort him back home, back to God. So in this way, Ajamila was delivered from material existence. He achieved perfection. He was saved from imminent punishment in hell, given a second chance. And he grabbed it and perfected his life. So it's a very, very amazing story. So while this pastime culminated, and we discussed the glories of the holy name quite extensively, the last chapter, I will not go through that now because we want to cover this chapter. We also want to discuss a little bit about the Damodar Leela as promised. So we will aim in the next half an hour or so to conclude this particular chapter. This chapter is not a very long chapter, around 35 verses, but very essential wisdom. So this chapter focuses on what happened to the Yamadutas after this quite shocking experience. So this chapter actually begins with Parikshit Maharaj asking this question to Shukadeva Goswami. It's quite amazing. We have never heard that Yamaraj jurisdiction was ever challenged. What is this, Can you please explain what is going on and, how does this work and what it is? Because Yamaraj is practically the absolute controller by the empowerment of the Lord, able to judge in terms of religious activities. So surely these Yamadutas would have been bewildered, as you explained. And you also briefly hinted earlier that after they went back and reported this episode to Yamaraj. What kind of situation is this? What is this? And how are we supposed to deal with this kind of a situation? This was never taught to us in the Yamaduta University. This was out of syllabus. So you said they went and had that discussion with their boss, Yamaraj. How did that conversation go? He was very curious. What did Yamaraj say when this unique case study of Ajamil was discussed with him? You can tell Shukdev Goswami, you are totally self-realized. You know the deepest of the deepest secrets about everything. You can tell the real secret. Shukdev Goswami said, yes, you are right. Actually, the Yamadutas were totally baffled when they were in this way, first time ever defeated by the order carriers of Vishnu. So they went to Samya Manipuri, the abode of Yamaraj, which is just above the hellish planets. Went to him. They sought appointment. This is emergency case. We need emergency advice. So they called the principal of their college and said, this is what happened. The way the question was put to Yamaraja is, they first told him, in the course, we were told you are the supreme boss in terms of judgment. But actually, how many bosses are there? In bracket, they are saying probably you didn't tell us the full truth. How many controllers of the world are there? How many people are actually judging Papa and Punya? Thought only you are in charge of the department, but looks like other people are also interfering in the department and also doing their own analysis and judgment. How like this? How we will do our job like this, that, we are also assessing, others are also assessing. We will give one judgment, another party will come and give another judgment. These four people, these heavenly divine beings came. They had their own assessment. Now, who is right? We are right. They are right. This is very complicated. All this while we were thinking is very simple, straightforward job. But now we are realizing that the same job has been given to multiple parties. So please clarify this matter. Because if different people start judging the same case, I may judge it differently. I meaning Yamadutas, based on your standards, Yamaraj standards, we are judging and you sent us to get him, no? How come somebody else is having another assessment and they are coming and interfering? Then whether we should punish or not punish? This will be very confusing. So either one of us is right, or if both of us are right, then he has to be also punished and rewarded, because then our assessment also has to apply, his assessment also has to apply. This is going to be very confusing. So, and in this case, it was even worse than that. The Yamadutas are complaining to Yamaraj. In this case, they actually overruled your assessment. And we were powerless. We were not able to exercise our jurisdiction on this personality, because their influence was so extraordinary, their intelligence and their argument was so extraordinary. They practically cut the ropes that we had used to tie your Yamapashas, which had never been cut. Never happened earlier. He came. This Ajamil, who became fearful on seeing us, he gave, these four Vishnudutas gave fearlessness to this Ajamila by telling him, do not fear, do not fear. So who are these personalities? So, if you think we can understand this subject, can you please elaborate on our questions? And they described to him also what happened. That this Ajamil, we were tying him up, he uttered the name of Narayan, then all these things. So essentially, they described everything in detail. So Yamaraj, he heard the case, but as soon as the Yamadutas mentioned that Ajamil chanted the name Narayan, as soon as Yamaraj heard the name Narayan, Yamaraj became very happy. Oh, my Yamadutas are also now uttering the name Narayan. It's very good. Huh? Because normally Yamadutas, is very unexpected. You will hear the name of Narayan. But while narrating this episode, they chanted the name of Narayan. So as soon as he heard the name of Narayan, because Yamaraj himself is such a great devotee, he himself, oh Narayan, he remembered the lotus feet of the Lord and he began to explain the Yamadutas. So he told them straight away, please understand, you are thinking that I am supreme. I never told that in the course that I am supreme. You concluded that I am supreme because you could not see any other judge. Actually, I am not the supreme. Above me, what to speak of me, above all the other devatas, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, everybody, there is one supreme master and controller who is the very basis of this existence. In fact, this entire existence, if you compare to a huge cloth, is present everywhere and is like an interwoven, the vertical and horizontal threads in a cloth, how they are interwoven. It's permeating everything everywhere. All the devatas, including the three murtis, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, are coming as his manifestations. The creation, maintenance, annihilation, everything is maintained by him. This entire world is controlled and driven by him, just like a bull. A rope is tied through the nose of a bull and he's pulled, and the rope is, and the bull is controlled like that. Similarly, the entire world is controlled by the Supreme Lord. This rope can be understood in various ways. One way to understand this rope is by giving instructions through the Vedas. The Lord is controlling all living entities. The Vedas he gives. What to do, what not to do for the four varnas and the four ashramas. All instructions are given. He is regulating the lives of all human beings by giving clear instructions. And everyone has to abide by these instructions. And fearing punishment of the Supreme Lord, all the four varnas and ashramas, they offer him worship. And ultimately, they are offering yajna to him by following the prescribed duties as are given to him, as are given by him. Even I myself, the Prajapatis, Indra, Chandra, Lord Shiva, Brahma, Surya, eight Vasus, Maruts, the Siddhas, Maricha, all the great sages, headed by Brihaspati, even Bhrigu Muni. We are all very advanced and very elevated. We are practically free from the influence of Rajagun and Tamogun. We are practically situated in Sattvagun. But even then, Yamadutas, please understand that we still cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even as powerful Devatas, even though we are in Sattvagun, because the Lord is beyond Sattvagun. He is on the platform of beyond Nistraigunya, beyond the three modes. Even those who are situated in Sattvagun cannot understand. So if we are struggling, what to speak of you and common people to understand the real nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Some people simply say, I know God, don't believe them. It's not so easy. Because those who are trapped in the modes of material nature cannot tap into the platform of transcendence where the Supreme Lord is situated. Because everything about the Supreme Lord, his name, form, qualities, pastimes, is beyond the modes of. Just like the eyes cannot be seen by the different parts of the body. The eyes can see the different parts of the body, but the body's different limbs cannot see the eyes. Similarly, even though the Supreme Lord is situated in everybody's heart, he's not perceptible to everybody. He's there, but he's there as the Antaryami. If you look at it externally, you will not be able to see him. So he cannot be perceived either by the gross senses or the subtle senses, or even through the mind and intelligence. So the real nature of the Supreme Lord is far beyond. What to speak of me? I am just a demigod who has been blessed by the Supreme Lord. And I am also dependent on him. I am working under his jurisdiction. I am not the Supreme Judge. He is the Supreme Judge. He is the master of everyone. He is the only one who is truly, fully independent, and he is totally free from the illusory energy, unlike us who are still trapped by the mode of. These four personalities that you saw, they are Vishnudutas, they are his messengers. And as you may have seen, their bodily qualities, their physical form is practically almost like Lord Narayan. That is the glory of these beings who have also attained that kind of a transcendental platform, that they are qualitatively attained a level like the Supreme Lord. Not quantitatively, but qualitatively. So they also have resplendent transcendental forms like the Supreme Person. And they are also so powerful that they are able to go anywhere across this entire material manifestation and exert their will on behalf of the Supreme Person. That is their power. Even demigods cannot challenge these Vishnudutas. So even I cannot do one. Don't think that I can challenge them. So what to speak of you? And you are actually so fortunate. You got to see the Vishnudutas. You should be celebrating instead of complaining. Because they are rarely seen in this material world. They are not interested in this material world. They don't come and go around here and there aimlessly for touring. They are in the most blessed abode in the association of the Supreme Lord. Their darshan is rarely attained. But time to time they come to this world. Why? Protect the devotees of Lord Hari. When the devotees of Lord Hari are threatened by enemies, by envious persons, sometimes even by natural disturbances, Lord Vishnu has given this seva to his Vishnudutas, that when his devotees are put into a helpless situation, they come and intervene and help. So yes, generally they don't visit, but just like in this case, one-off case. Maybe in your career, this was the first case. You never came across a situation like this, but time to time it happens. And not just at the time of death, that is why they came and your paths crossed. Even when sometimes devotees are put into very dangerous situation and they need urgent assistance, the Lord sometimes provides that assistance to the agency of this God. So this is very, very interesting. So, if we become dear to the Lord, we can hope that we can also get the protection of the Vishnudutas. Whether they give us darshan or not, that is hard to say, unless we become very, very purified. But those who are sincere devotees can expect the protection of the Lord is. Then he tells a very important thing. He tells, you are talking, oh Yamadutas, my children. He refers to the Yamadutas as his children. Because Yamaraja is actually an affectionate boss. It's not a cruel, terrible person like sometimes Yamaraj is made out to. He has to do his job. Just like a judge, when he gives punishment, he has to do his job because that's his job. But that doesn't mean that the judge is hard-hearted. Then he tells the Yamadutas something very, very interesting. So first he explains about that he's not the boss. Lord Hari is the supreme boss. Then he explains about who these Vishnu Dutas are. Then he talks about the real principles of religion. Because the Yamadutas have been going around carrying a checklist and an account statement everywhere. Dharma, adharma, tick, 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 count, 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 assess, net balance, hell, heaven, where, what, They have their framework. They have their Excel sheet where they calculate and final end result. And they are used to assess dharma and adharma in that framework. And that works 99.99% of the time. So not that that is totally wrong, but there are certain scenarios which don't fit there, which is not already programmed or they are not trained for. But Yamaraj is telling the Yamadutas, please understand that dharma is not just about this. Dharma is not just about following the principles given in the Vedas. Because the Vedas also at an external level are dealing with the three modes of material nature. Krishna also tells this to Arjuna. Tells, don't be just caught up in these ritualistic instructions in the Vedas. Traigunya Visha Veda Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. The Vedas are dealing, all these various principles are generally dealing with the three modes. They are helping them to elevate in the modes. But the goal is to go beyond the modes. Straigunya Bhavarjuna. So the real religious principles are ultimately enacted, controlled, and represented by the Supreme Lord Himself. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagvat pranita. And the deepest, most confidential aspects of religion cannot be ascertained by practically anybody. That's a deep secret. The deepest principles of religion are actually coming from the Supreme Lord Himself. They are also contained within the core of the heart of the pure devotees. Even great sages who claim to know the principles of religion, even those who are sometimes situated all the way up to the highest planets within this material world, they are also unable to properly understand is the ultimate conclusion of religion. Even devatas cannot understand. Even various kinds of siddhas, asuras, vidyadharas, charanas, what to speak of human beings. It's very, very difficult. The real conclusions of religion are very, very hard to understand. Because ultimately, what is dharma? Dharma is not just about following a set of recommendations. So, Yamadutas had a big question on their face. Baba, if nobody knows, then who knows? So, immediately Yamaraj gives them confidence. Says that there are 12 personalities within this world who know the principles of religion perfectly. Because the perfect principles of religion, the highest, topmost principles of religion is known as Bhagavat Dharma. Not Varnashram Dharma. Varnashram Dharma is more to regulate the three modes of material nature. But the innermost core of religion is Bhagavat Dharma. That is transcendental religion. That is eternal. That is Sanatana Dharma. The real core of Sanatana Dharma, the eternal religion. And then he quotes the very, very famous verse where Yamaraj says Very beautiful verse. He mentions the name of the 12 Mahajanas, the 12 greatest personalities who know the deepest secrets of religion and who are totally, fully self-realized pure devotees. Swayambhur Narada Shambhu Kumaraha Kapilo Manuhu Prallado Janako Bhishmo Palir Vayyasakirvayam द्वादशैते विजानीमो धर्मं भागवतं भटाः तुह्यं विशुद्धं दुर्बोधं यं ज्ञात्वा अमृतम् अश्नुते. Who are the 12? Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Narad Muni, Kumaras, the four Kumaras, Kapila Muni, Swayambhuva Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janaka, the father of Sita Devi, Bhishma, Bali Maharaj, surrendered to Lord Vamana, and my humble self. Yamaraja is saying, Valir Vayyasaki Vayam. Vayam means we. So we is a humble way instead of saying I. He is referring to himself. Last, he puts his own reference last. Just the devotees, sometimes they have to tell the truth, but they want to put it in a humble way. These 11 and myself, we know, these 12 people know. And what is this dharma? Dharmam Bhagavatam. And what kind of dharma? Guhyam, this is secret. Vishuddham, this is utmost pure. This is beyond the modes of nature. This is not even sattva, this is Vishuddha. Durbodham, very difficult to understand. You cannot understand this simply by intelligence. Unless you associate with pure devotees in parampara, where this truth of this Bhagavad Dharma is coming down in disciplic succession, this cannot be understood. Even great sages who have even written Shastras, Puranas and Smriti Shastras, they have written. Just because they have written some Puranas, Shastras, don't assume they know Bhagavad Dharma. They may be on Sattva Guna, they may be very saintly people, but doesn't mean that they have necessarily understood the ultimate core of religion. So if anybody wants to understand what they must do, they must understand in disciplic succession from the Mahajanas. Mahajano yena gatas satanta. Of course, that verse is not here, but I'm just quoting that. Follow the path of the Mahajanas. You can be fortunate to understand this if you become fortunate to be connected in these paramparas. And in Kali Yuga, Prabhupada explains that essentially out of these 12 Mahajanas, 4 Mahajanas have paramparas within this world. Brahmaji, Lord Shiva, Lakshmi Devi, and the Kumaras. Of course, Lakshmi Devi is the Lord's consort directly. She's not even a jiva, it's directly the Lord's energy. So those who follow the Mahajanas, especially these 4 personalities in parampara, they are able, if they properly follow and take shelter, understand the Bhagavata. And that is the ultimate. Oh, Yamadutas, you have been assessing only on the basis of Varnashram and rules and regulations. But the innermost core of Dharma is Bhagavad. So please understand that. And that is coming from Supreme Lord. And what is this Bhagavad Dharma? In case you are curious, Bhagavad Dharma is the Dharma of pure devotional service. The Supreme Person, that boss, my boss. You thought I am boss? No. My boss. Your devotional service to him is Dharma. And that your devotional service is expressed through processes that begin with the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. And that is the ultimate principle. So many things we are assessing pap and punya, but there is no higher principle than chanting the holy names of the Lord. Huh? Oh, my servants who are as good as my sons, please understand how good this chanting of the holy names of the Lord is. You saw, no, how sinful Ajamil was, but even though he called out the name of Lord Narayan, not even referring to Narayan, but referring to his son. Nevertheless, because by chanting the name, he remembered Narayan at the time of death, he was immediately saved. You are also shocked, no? You went with all your calculations, suddenly you are saying how it was wrong. Because one moment it was correct, next moment it was wrong. And you could not perceptibly see that they have done any atonement that all the Smriti Shastras have given. But you have not factored in Bhagavad Dharma. Because the process of Bhagavad Dharma is supreme and transcendental, and the potency of that Dharma is so extraordinary that even a little bit of performance of this Bhagavad Dharma is potent to destroy unlimited sins. And that is why actually the best and the real atonement is the chanting of the holy names. Because the chanting of the holy names, especially when done without offenses, can very, very rapidly burn away all sins. Ajamil was so sinful. But at the time of his death, helplessly he chanted the name of Narayana. So he was totally purified from all his sins. So this is very, very deep secret. Huh? Those religious sages, teachers, etc., who are just busy with the principles of the Vedas and who are attached to Karma Kanda and trying to attain heavenly planets and this and that and various material auspicious, they cannot understand all this. Their intelligence has become too dull because of their materialistic pursuits within religion. They are just attracted to dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. But Bhagavad Dharma is beyond moksha. Bhagavad Dharma is actually the innermost part of. So those who are attracted to Swarga, to Bhog in this world, to moksha, they cannot understand all these innermost deep secrets. That is why, oh Yamadutas, please understand that those who are actually intelligent in this world, they adopt this process of chanting the holy names. And such people, please understand, those who chant the holy names are not within our jurisdiction. Actually, those who chant the holy names, generally they don't even perform any sins. But somehow, accidentally, because they may not be fully purified yet, somehow accidentally they perform sins. Very easily, by simply continuing the process of chanting the holy names, all their sinful reactions become one. They don't need to follow any other form of atonement. So don't you go near any such persons again. Those who chant the holy name of the Lord, it's not your business to judge them. They are not in our jurisdiction. These souls take shelter of devotional service and chant the holy names. They are directly protected by the Lord who holds the Gada. So you better don't go in that direction again. These great souls, they are continuously tasting the nectar of the transcendental name, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So what is our business going in that direction? We have better things to do. That is not our business. The Lord considers these people as his own. And very easily they are purified of all sins. It is not necessary for us to take them, put them into hell, punish them, and by the holy name they become gradually purified from the root of all materialistic sin. Because they give up the desire to enjoy and become selfless, pure devotees of the Supreme Person. So don't go to such persons. So let me again tell you the basic principles of our job. Bring to Yamaloka those people who are not interested in devotional service. Those who don't associate with devotees, those who are simply attached to materialistic family life and are enjoying indiscriminately. That you continue. That will be 99.99% of the population most of the times anyways. So you have plenty of job to do. Don't be too upset that you are not going to get a lot of job. This is one-off case. Generally, you will be busy with this kind of people only. Those who don't use their tongues to chant Hare Krishna, those who don't remember the lotus feet of the Lord even once, those who don't ever bow down with humility in front of the Supreme Lord, those who do not perform their duties towards Lord Hari, wherein the whole purpose of life is to perform the duties towards Lord Hari. Such rascals you bring to me. Then after having instructed the Yamadutas like this, Yamaraja actually feels sad. He feels sad because Yamaraja is feeling my servants, my department. So he's taking responsibility for his staff. My servants, the Yamadutas, they offended a Vaishnav, a Jamil, by trying to tie him up, even though he had already become purified. So it is, he took it upon himself as if he committed the offense. This is the nature of a true leader. A true leader is not interested in, blaming others. He takes responsibility for what his dependents do. So he prays to the Lord and he begs forgiveness for the Lord. Oh Lord, please forgive me. Somehow my servants and me committed this offense of not recognizing your devotee Ajamil, and they tried to punish him. So you are so merciful, O Lord. We are trying to do our job, but sometimes we make mistakes like this. So please don't mind. Please forgive all of us, my servants and my. He also wants to protect his servants. He is a pure devotee. Yamaraja is a pure devotee. He is a Mahabhagwat. So actually, by praying for forgiveness, he's actually also praying for his servants who unknowingly had committed an offense. See, this is why it is so dangerous to commit offenses to a great personality. One has to be very, very careful. And this is why sometimes even when we see faults within the lives of practicing devotees, we should be very careful not to get into a judgmental mode and especially not to criticize. So if Ajamil was unworthy of the punishment, what to speak of those who are actively engaged in chanting the holy names, rendering service to the Lord, preaching the glories of the Lord? How much more dear they will be to the Lord, and how much more all of us should be fearful of offending such souls. So that's another wonderful example which Yamaraj set by instructing the Yamadutas like this. So in that way, the conversation between Yamaraj and Yamadutas concluded. Shukadev Goswami concludes the chapter and he kind of sums up the essence of this entire lesson by saying that, oh, Parikshit Maharaj, you must have understood by now that ultimately the highest atonement is chanting the holy names. Because no other process can uproot the real root of sin. That's why it is this Sankirtan movement which is the most auspicious activity for the whole world. You should take it seriously, because if you take it seriously, the world will take it seriously. So those Prabhupada was always also emphasizing like this. You all intelligent, educated people should seriously take Mahaprabhu's movement. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati also instructed similarly to Prabhupada. You do, then the world will take. And Shukdev Goswami says that one who regularly and sincerely chants and hears the glories of the Lord, chants the holy names, very soon and very easily can attain pure devotional service by thoroughly cleansing his heart of all materialistic dirt. And this kind of cleansing is not possible no matter how much tapa, yajna, dana one does. Yes, one can come to the mode of goodness. One cannot remove the root of sin. It is the devotees who are always licking the honey on the lotus feet of the Lord who are totally disinterested in material life. This interest in material life does not come by doing punya. This interest in material life comes only by the process of developing the higher taste of bhakti. That higher taste in bhakti comes when one regularly engages in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord in the association of other devotees have this kind of eagerness. If people simply remain addicted to Vedic rituals and are performing materialistic atonements, continue in the cycle of birth and death. Yes, they may be able to counteract some sinful reactions, but the tendency for sin will never go away. They will never attain the platform of Bhagavad Dharma simply by following ritualistic. Shukdev Goswami concludes by saying, when the Yamadutas heard this special lesson, additional class from their principal, were struck with wonder. They were very amazed. And they also requested Yamaraja. It's not written here. They requested Yamaraja, can you please add this addendum to our syllabus so that others don't make such mistake in the future. We made, but others should not make such mistakes. So it is said since that time, so we are assuming that this is already in the syllabus. So since that time, it is said any Yamadutas, when they see a devotee, they look the other direction. They don't even want to run their program. It's not our job, not our department, not our jurisdiction. That is why, especially when they see Kantimala and Tilak, they know. Next in the list, who's our next target? Now, this was accidentally came. Not our job. So that's why the position of devotees, and we are not saying in a way as to glorify ourselves, but that is the kind of special mercy and protection of the Supreme Lord, which is available to those who are sincerely taking shelter of the pure devotions. This chapter concludes. Parikshit Maharaj is being told by Shukadev Goswami that this story, this confidential pastime I narrated to you, was originally told to me by the great sage Agastya Muni when he was residing in the Malaya hills. That time I had approached him. He was busy worshipping the Lord, and that time he had narrated this pastime to me. Since you asked about atonement, I thought this would be a good historical episode to tell you. So hopefully now you are clear how to be saved from sin, because that was your original question. So while there is atonement, the topmost way to be freed from not just the reactions, but from the tendency to sin is to take shelter of Bhagavad Dharma. And the highest manifestation of Bhagavad Dharma is continuous, uninterrupted chanting of the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Antara Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Okay, so this brings us to the conclusion of this chapter. So before we take questions, you just keep your questions in your mind. We want to discuss for 10 minutes. We want to taste the nectar that Yamaraja has been telling to the Yamadutas. So let us taste some nectar. This is what we should be hankering for. So this is what actually satisfies the soul of the devotees. Hearing the glories of the Lord. The devotees are not, philosophy is important, but ultimately philosophy should lead us to the point of relishing the glories of God. Anyway. So in the last class, we discussed about how Mother Yashoda prepares this extraordinary yogurt with the milk of the Padmagandha cows. Very few cows. It's very, very special cows. So we discussed how she was busy churning the butter. She had taken up the task upon herself that Krishna is going around other people's homes. Maybe the butter quality is not according to the standard. So let me do this myself. So she was very beautifully dressed. It was a Diwali morning and she was churning. And the nature of devotees is such that because they are always remembering about Krishna, no matter what they are doing, no matter what they are doing, they are always thinking about Krishna and chanting his names or singing about him. Sometimes some people complain, oh, what is this? Devotees, they're not sitting in dhyan, not closing their eyes and sitting like this. Those who cannot always remember Krishna have to close all their senses and look inward and try to envision the Supreme Person. Does Mother Yashoda need to do that? Those devotees who have an attachment for the Lord, they cannot forget him. When as they are doing their day-to-day activities, they are continuously, spontaneously chanting. Isn't that a better situation than just sitting and trying to focus the mind artificially, forcefully on the form of the Lord? This kind of affectionate chanting and remembering of the glories of the Lord is so attractive. It is said Krishna woke up, not because of any alarm, woke up with this beautiful, affectionate chanting of his glories. That was his alarm bell. Mother is chanting, my mother is being so affectionate. So eager to taste her devotion, came running to her. And he came to her and he held her hand, which means she was moving, no? So he stopped her. So why did he stop her? He said, me first, this can wait. First you take care of me. I am eager to taste your devotion. And on the pretext of being hungry, actually Krishna was hungry for her love. But he wanted to taste her love in the form of her milk. So he became hungry for her milk. So Krishna is like that. He demands the love and affection of his devotees. Krishna actually has a very, just like devotees, especially advanced devotees, they feel very possessive towards Krishna in a spiritual way, not in an egoistic way. Krishna is mine. Krishna is my son. I must take care of him, protect him. Krishna feels very possessive towards his devotees. These are my people. They are mine. So he stops Mother Yashoda and then Krishna, without any hesitation, jumps onto the lap of Mother Yashoda. Because he wants to drink milk. He's lying on the lap. He jumps onto the lap and lies down. As if to say that, it is your first duty. Stop this. It is your first duty to take care of. So Krishna considers the lap of Mother Yashoda as his rightful possession. This is my place. So he stops her from the act of churning. And Mother Yashoda obviously so happy to see Krishna. She's looking at his beautiful face. She pauses the churning of the yogurt. She starts great love and devotion, feeding milk to little Krishna. She has so much affection, so much affection. It is said the affection of Mother Yashoda and Gopis was so much that sometimes even if Krishna was away, it is said just out of love, milk would come out of their bodies just because of their overflowing of motherly affection. That is the kind of love. So Krishna is looking at Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda is looking at Krishna with such affection, and Krishna is drinking the milk. It's a very beautiful description that Acharyas give. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Krishna's beautiful curly hair. Mother Yashoda is observing such a beautiful face. And he's drinking the milk. Some of the milk is, dripping down his face. So it was very, very blissful sight, and Krishna was like, fully satisfied with this. But there was somebody who was not satisfied. Who was it? It was the milk of the Padmagandha cows, which was in the kitchen, kept on the stove for boiling. That milk was thinking, oh, now Krishna is on the lap of Mother Yashoda and he is drinking her milk. Mother Yashoda's love is unlimited. And Krishna's ability to receive her love is unlimited. And the milk is going to be unlimited. This will go on and on and on. Then what will become to us? Who's going to drink me? If I cannot serve Krishna by being available to serve him, the milk is saying like this, then my life is useless. And now there is no hope for me, so better I commit suicide. So the milk thinking like this starts boiling over and jumping over from the pot, about to, so that it will enter into the fire and end its life. So this is how the acharyas explain. Of course, everything in the spiritual world is spiritual. So in the spiritual world, nothing is material. So the milk also is conscious in the transcendental realm. Of course, when Krishna is here, this world, all his paraphernalia is manifested from the transcendental world. So in that way, this is perfectly justified as well. So as the milk is boiling and about to spill over, Mother Yashoda hears the sound of the boiling milk. As soon as she hears that, she abruptly keeps Krishna down. Krishna, who is busily enjoying receiving the love of Mother Yashoda, she abruptly keeps Krishna down and rushes into the kitchen. Of course, Mother Yashoda is not thinking that Krishna is not important. Mother Yashoda is thinking that that milk is for Krishna. And that is why I have to take care of that milk, because if that milk boils over, then it will be spoiled. And this is such precious, special milk which is made from these special cows, limited edition. So, I have to make sure it is not wasted. So she was obviously doing in a spirit of service to Krishna. So both was service to Krishna. Feeding milk to Krishna was service to Krishna, and taking care of the milk in the kitchen was also service to Krishna. So at that moment, she prioritized. So she had to make a judgment. And this happens in the lives of all devotees, isn't it? It's not always a choice between Maya and Krishna. Sometimes it is a choice between different priorities between Krishna's service. And a devotee has to be intelligent, make the right choice at the right time. And that comes through spiritual intelligence. That comes through purification. That comes through association, through studying Shastras. That one spiritual intelligence develops to make the right decision. So when we are chanting, we want to focus on chanting. We don't want to mix chanting with eating prasad. We are also eating prasad and Mahaprasad and also chanting at the same time. So we have to know what to prioritize. Of course, these are very simple situations, but sometimes there can be really challenging, complicated situations. But ultimately, a devotee is thinking about how Krishna can best be served. So Mother Yashoda was also mindful, not only that Krishna has to be satisfied, but also that his devotee, the milk also is not disappointed. So anyway, Mother Yashoda did what she did. But Krishna was not too happy. So Krishna became very upset because Krishna felt, what is this? I am here, I am drinking milk, and Mother Yashoda is giving me up and going there, take care of some milk. I was lying in the ocean of milk in Shirasagar, and I have come down in this world. And why my mother is running behind a pot of milk and not taking care of me? So Krishna has a different assessment of the situation. And Krishna becomes upset. There are actually so many points, but we cannot go into everything. Many of these comments are explained actually by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. This is not my own explanation. So Krishna, thinking like this, he decides finally that I am not happy with the prioritization that Mother Yashoda has done. So I am going to do something so as to give the signal to Mother Yashoda that, this is not how you should treat me. You should give first priority to me. Nothing else matters. I have come down to receive the love of Mother Yashoda. So that is the highest priority. So that when Krishna decides to do some shift, and then he starts looking around, what mischief should I do? Then his attention goes on the butter pot, which Mother Yashoda has been churning the buttermilk, make butter. Okay, so we're going to pause the narration here today. We will continue the discussions in our next class, hopefully on Tuesday, and we will discuss further. Okay, so having said this, we will recite the Damodar Ashtaka. So please keep your lamps handy and ready. We will sing the Damodar Ashtaka and then we can offer the key lamp. So, so please join me. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasatakundalam Gokule Vrajamanam Yashodabhiyolukhalagavamanam Param Rishtamatayanta Todritya Gopya Rudantam Muhurnetram Yugmam Rijantam Karam Bhoja Yugmena Shatanka Netram Muhushwasakampa Trirekhanka Kantha Stita Graivam Damodaram Bhaktibaddham Iti Driksvalilabhirananda Kunde Swaghoshamni Majantam Akhyapayantam Tadiyeshi Tadneshu Bhaktairjitatvam Punaha Prematastam Shatavriti Vande Varam Deva Moksham Namoksham Vadim Va Nachanyam Vrineham Pareshadapiha Dam Teva Purnatha Gopala Balam Sada Me Manasya Avirastam Kimanyai Idam Te Mukham Bhojam Matyanta Nilair Vritam Kuntalai Snigdha Raktaischa Gopya Muhuschumbitam Bimba Raktadharam Me Manasya Avirastam Malam Lakshalabhai Namo Deva Damodara Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabho Dukha Jalabdi Magnam Kripa Drishti Vrishtyati Dinam Bhatanu Ruhane Shamamagyam Medhyakshi Drishya Kuveratma Jaubadha Murtyai Vayadvat त्वया मोचितौ भक्ति भजौ कृतौ च तथा प्रेम भक्तिं स्वकाम्ये प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेस्ति दामोदरेह नमस्ते स्तुदाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिदाम्ने त्वदीयोदराय था विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयाय प्रियायै नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम् नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयाय प्रियायै नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम् हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा दामोदर राधा दामोदर राधे श्रद्धा दामोदर भगवान की जय दामोदर मास जय नंद के लाला की जय और शुभानुनंदिनी जय श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय श्री कार्तिक मास Thank you very much. So I'm opening up the floor if there are any questions or comments. I hope it is okay. We are discussing also a little bit of Damodar Leela every time. If you have any comments, I'm happy to hear any constructive feedback. Yeah, Suresh Prabhu, you want to ask your question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, these 12 Mahabhagavatas, right? So their understanding of Bhagavatam is different from what we are hearing now, or the high level.
They have a perfect understanding of the Bhagavad. So
Yeah,
within pure devotional service, there are various rasas.
okay.
So different pure devotees may have slightly different rasas. So ours is the Braja rasa. So we are followers of the Braja rasa, especially following in the footsteps of Radharani's servants and assistants. So our mood is that, but the principles of Bhagavad Dharma do not change. What is ultimately Bhagavad Dharma? Savai pumsam paro dharmo yato bhaktir adhokshaje ahaituki apratihata yayatma suprasa. Unmotivated, uninterrupted devotional service to the transcendental Lord. That is Bhagavad Dharma.
Yes. So Prabhu, the simple thing, so they don't have this, all these cantos are not there, right, Prabhu, for them? I mean,
For
what
whom?
we have. I mean,
For whom?
Bhagavatas, they already have the subject, right? It is for us, right? We have this 18 cantos.
No.
Two cantos.
Bhagavatam is discussed all over the existence. So, what is Bhagavat? Bhagavat is the katha of the Lord and his pure devotees. It is said in heavenly planets, the Bhagavatam is much, much more bigger than our Bhagavatam. Our Bhagavatam is 18,000 shlokas. So Bhagavat is discussed all over. So in this particular context of the conversation between Shukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, various Bhagavat episodes which are relating to pure devotional service of the glories of the Lord and pure devotees were narrated. But the topic of Bhagavat is unlimited.
Yep.
Correct? So even when we discuss the glories of great devotees, when we discuss Chaitanya Charitamrita, is that not Bhagavat? It may not be from the shlokas of the 18,000 verses, but it is still Bhagavat topic. Correct?
Yeah.
If Suraj and Tarun are sitting together and discussing pure devotional service, that is also Bhagavad Katha. If with pure devotion you are organizing Damodar lamp offering in various schools, like what you have done, what you all are doing, and in various places yourself, Tarun, Puja Mataji, Shalini Mataji, and all of you together, whatever you are doing. So whatever is offered with pure devotion, sincere devotion, is an expression of Bhagavatam. So there is no end, there is no beginning and end to Bhagavatam. Of course, we have been presented with a particular compilation, which is our primary reference matter. reference book in terms of a collection of specific pastimes and episodes. But Bhagavatam is beyond, is an eternal, unlimited subject.
Prabhuji, another small question.
Yeah.
Sant Tukaram Maharaj, right? So, what time this episode happened, and did Yamadutas come to take him? Prabhu?
Yeah, that's what it is said. The Vishnutas came to take him. This happened around the time of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Okay.
Like what we discussed, no? He was there. He was a contemporary of Shivaji Maharaj, Sant Tukaram. It is said Shivaji Maharaj considered him as one of his gurus. There are some interesting episodes of interaction between Shivaji Maharaj and Sant Tukaram. It is also said by Sant Tukaram in some of his Abhangas that, and Prabhupada mentions this in the Madhya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Sant Tukaram was initiated by Lord Chaitanya. And that is why his process is almost very similar like ours. He also chants Ram Krishna Hari. Of course, in our case, we chant Hare, they chant Hari, because ours is Braj.
Yeah.
But he chants Ram Krishna Hari. They also have Sankirtan. They also give primary importance to the process of chanting and dancing. So the process is very similar. So Tukaram Maharaj we accept as a pure devotee, a person who perfectly understood the conclusions of Bhagavad Dharma.
So, people who were along with him when he was taken by Yamadutas, were they able to see those Yamadutas, Prabhu?
We do not know. Of course, the movie shows it like that. But,
Yeah.
I don't think, there's nothing mentioned, but I do not know whether, he was taken in full public sight, as is shown in the movie. I don't think there is any clear mention to that, so I can't really comment on that. And even if he was taken, what they were able to see. See, the thing is, even when a devotee passes in front of our eyes, and actually Vishnudutas come and he is escorted, what can we see with our gross eyes? Unless the Vishnudutas allow us to see.
Got it.
Yeah. So even if it happened and everybody was around, maybe a few saintly persons were able to see.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Yeah, Tarun Prabhu, you have a question?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have a question on the Jamil's life related thing.
Okay.
So let's take this scenario like there is a person who is getting untimely death and he is a devotee. At the same time, some person is in coma or some person on ventilator who's completely not in the situation to chant the name and he's on the ventilator, he cannot even express anything. He don't know whether he is live or dead. The borrowed lives. In such situation, Prabhuji, how the things will move because he is in coma or is in untimely situations. But
So
he's a
first thing is, yeah. So even if
he's a
one may not be able to, externally chant, even one chants in one's own mind, that is also accepted. Yeah. So sometimes it appears as if a person in coma who is externally not showing any signs of consciousness, that they are totally unconscious. That may not be true. In fact, many times it is not true. So at the time of death, the living entity is generally conscious unless it happens, so fast, so quickly, that, practically it's a snap. For example, suddenly there is a bomb blast and your body is, blown into pieces. Not your, sorry, somebody's blown into pieces. So, what is the time that he'll get? There's no time.
exactly.
So this question was asked to Lord Varadaraj by one of his devotees. Yeah, Amit has just posted that verse in the chat. So in Varaha Puran, there is a nice verse that if my devotee is unable to remember me at the time of death, because of whatever circumstances, then I will remember him. So the wonderful thing about the devotee is as long as the devotee is sincere, if there is any shortcoming, or if there is such a situation that there is some inadequacy on the part of the devotee, then the Lord is not, sitting with a checklist. The Lord is looking at the heart of the devotee, and he sees what is his love, and the Lord makes up. And that is what it is meant when the Lord says, yoga kshemam vahamyaham. Whatever the devotee lacks, whatever he has, he protects, and whatever he lacks, I give. So if certain criteria is needed and somehow the devotee is struggling to meet it, if the devotee has managed to please the Supreme Lord and the Supreme Lord considers him worthy of being taken, the Lord will do whatever is necessary. So while we always endeavor to reach the platform of perfection, you do not have to be paranoid, or all the time worried that, what will happen if this doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. Prabhupada often says that, Krishna is more eager that we will come back to Godhead, more than we are eager to go back to Godhead. So what we need to do is, through our life, through our activities, through our sadhana, to our seva, through our dealing with devotees, we have to demonstrate to the Lord how eager we are. And at the time of death, our intention is to remember, but if because of circumstance there is some shortcoming, if you receive the favor of the Lord, everything is possible. Because ultimately going back to Godhead is by Lord's desire. We should understand that nobody can mechanically plan and manage to sneak into the spiritual world.
Yes.
Okay, so that you cannot, because even the remembrance of the Lord at the time of death is possible only by the grace of the Lord. So we don't have to worry about loopholes or problems in the process. We have actually only one problem to solve. And that problem is to become Krishna conscious. And any other shortcomings, the Lord will take care. No worries. We have a very wonderful boss and master. Yeah, so we should always be confident of his continuous protection.
Got it, Prabhu. Thank you. That helps.
Welcome, Prabhu. Okay, so we will conclude here. So thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki. So I will see you all on Tuesday. Thank you. And please continue with enthusiasm. Thank you. I'll please continue with enthusiasm to offer lamps, to engage others in offering lamps. And as an offering of love, please keep track of the offerings so that we can offer them for the pleasure of the Lord and his devotees. In that way, we can attract the Lord's merciful glance. The Lord is actually very, very kind. So if we become forgetful of the Lord, or if we are in a situation that we may become forgetful of the Lord is more worried than we are worried. So we have no idea how much the Lord is actually very, very affectionate to his devotees. Okay, thank you very much. I'll go.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank
Jai
you.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna
Thank
Prabhuji.
Hare
you.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, everyone.
Prabhuji.